Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden, and welcome to Morning Edition, Shifting Perspectives. Morning Edition are the editions when I show up in my bathrobe, because it's October in New York, and oh yes, definitely. So I had, oh my God, where do I begin? One of those nights where it was something happened, and that was just the catalyst to understanding a lot of work that I've been my work is like an abstract maze. So I'll walk in and I'll basically follow this abstract maze. And then I'll get to this point and there will be this block. And there's two options. Either I went the wrong way or there's a secret door. Almost always there's a secret door. Almost always. I just can't, there's a riddle to open the next part of the phase. Like there are some places where, and that's philosophy. This is it, is when you do anything intellectual, I know I'm in the right space. I just can't see the door to open it. So it's a maze. And I don't know. It's extraordinary. It's an adventure. It's exciting. I have had a kind of depression for a long time. Depression gets a really, really bad rap because, well, I don't want to get into the why, but it gets a really bad rap. It's very, very misunderstood. And as a result, the solutions and the way we handle depression is not correct because we don't understand it, which is really the core of all psychology. If you want to know how to solve one of your problems, you need to understand the psychology of why you have the problem, which is why I do my podcast. So I had a mindset. Everything always begins with a mindset that no person would tolerate all of my garbage and backstory and problems to even get over the initial relationship obstacles. So when you begin any kind of a friendship, there are obstacles in your way. And I am different. I come with like a list of basically there's 3 stages. If you want to get close to me, this is how you do it. There are 3 stages that I have to put people through, that I have to go through. And if I don't go through these 3 stages, there's consequences, big ones. I have a medical condition that literally gets triggered. That's the first one. And I've got other things that automatically get triggered. I have a significant problem with trusting people. I have a significant problem in general with people. It's something I'm working on, hence this podcast. That's really what this is. I'm lonely and I want people in my life. And in order for me to have people in my life, I have to figure out how to navigate this. And in order to navigate it, I have to first understand myself, understand psychology and the philosophy, and then understand people. I've done all that. Now, chapter 3, I get to put it all together, which is what I'm doing. So I've got all these obstacles. And I get one type of person. It is a conformist trying to date me. And it does not work. It does not work. When the conformist tries to date me, it leads into one of 2 scenarios. Either they're, well, I'm just going to be blunt. Either they're stupid, where they are so ignorant that they have no idea what they're dealing with. And when I try and explain them, they can't comprehend even a fraction of what I'm saying because they're ignorant and uneducated, stupid. I see this a lot with the second perspectives trying to date me. And then they're abusive. They are bullies, basically. Dating bullies, dating predators. So those are the 2 types of people I've been getting. Really stupid, where it's like, or abusive. Now, here's my problem. That's where they are, but this is where I'm at. And we all know where they are. They follow the standard issue. Let's go through all the traditions they follow the traditional format of relationship. So we're going to call that the classic relationship model. They follow the classic relationship model, the CRM. Now, the CRM itself is a problem for me. It triggers this thing that I've got, my medical condition. And that is it right there. My medical condition is vagal vascular syncope, where I end up having a severe drop in blood pressure. It's a full system failure shutdown. In the fight or flight fear system, it is equivalent to the flop, where it's just everything shuts down. Literally, my blood pressure drops and I lose complete control over all bodily functions and all that that implies. So it's not pleasant for anybody. As a result, because I have this medical condition, it is actually triggered by CRM, classic relationship models. This is my problem. So I've got these two people who constantly come into my life and they try. I was getting 30 messages from these people a day. And the classic relationship model starts off with two questions. But the first one is, where do you live and are you married? These questions are actually the first one, where do you live? What that one is, that's just a red flag for the whole CRM. The are you married completely removes a not autonomy from any person. Because the question they really want to know is this person available for dating? Is this person open for relationships? But they don't ask that. Instead, they ask the, are you married? Which is the question, I just want to know if I have someone in my way because I'm pursuing you, and they bypass asking you if you want to. They bypass asking if you're available. They bypass even acknowledging that you have autonomy, which is a trigger for me because that's a classical relationship model. I am a relationship anarchist. I have to be, because if I fall into the CRM, I end up live low blood pressure, passed out, blacked out, and losing control of my entire body for like 12 hours. So I have to be on relationship anarchy. Now, until last night, I've never even heard of this term. I think I did 2 years ago, but the definition was so shitty that it was like, well, that's not me. Because relationship anarchy, one of the two definitions is anti-hierarchical relationships. Now, I'm not anti-hierarchy, not to that type of, not to a relationship hierarchy. I'm just, so I didn't resonate with it. I remember hearing the word like 2 years ago and I'm like, yeah, that's not. But apparently over the last 2 years, they've amended it. So there's now a second definition, and the second definition is spot on to what I am. But I didn't have this word. So I would have traditionalists, conformists coming in, and they would either be too ignorant to comprehend anything beyond the classic relationship model, or I would have somebody who was abusive. Now, here's the problem. Asking me where I'm from is opening up a rat's nest of my trauma past. The second question is, do you have any dietary restrictions if they're trying to set up a date? And I have to explain I'm a vegetarian. I say I'm a vegetarian, but then they want to launch into the why. That's another problem. So basically it's a look, certain classic questions, the traditional questions, are going to cause me to trauma dump on you within the first 30 minutes of us meeting. I don't want to start any relationship like that. So right away, the very first obstacle I run into is trauma dumping and negative horror stories within the first 30 minutes of meeting me. And this is true for relationships or friendships. Everyone I meet, I have this problem with, where they want to get to know me. So they ask classic relationship models, and I end up having to give them answers that it's a mess. So up until last night, I gave up. I'm just like, I can't date. This isn't going to work. I can't even use the word date without it triggering me in an actual date setting. So I'm going, I quit. I have my one partner, which is phenomenal, but I'm polyamorous. I want friendships. I wasn't able to do any of that. So I met someone about 2 weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And things have been really, really going comfortably. He didn't ask any of the classic relationship questions He is relationship anarchist and he's poly. So right off, he is not in the traditional model, which is fantastic. So right there, I know when I'm talking to him, I am now removed from classic relationship model, which has allowed us the ability to sit down and talk without me having to be on my guard for that kind of crap. As soon as the person is nonconformist, I'm in a safe place because I know they're already thinking outside the box. Thank God. So we have something in common. We came together for a very specific community event. So we have this one community event that's really spot on. We share it. We can talk about it. So we actually have an interest, an area of interest that we share that's solid, that really is a massive part of both of us. And because of what I am and just the way the characteristics have come together, we've taken an interest in each other. And because we both see eye to eye as far as relationships go, now we're like, okay, this is now somebody who's in the running. So right off, he's on this side of the spectrum where I've got the classical relationship model. So we start breaching the concept of, hey, I'm going to be in town. Would you like to meet? And now my reality just slams right down. Realistically, I've got this medical condition. And if I don't tell them about it, then I end up with a surprise episode in the middle of the event. So the last 2 times I tried this, I didn't warn them and it happened. And the first person I tried this with was polyamorous, was nonconformist, but he followed classical relationship models. This is my problem. And I was able to figure all of this out last night. Like all of it was, aha, I got this. So there's nonconformist and then there's conformist. And there's classic relationship model and then there's relationship anarchy. I can't be around the relationship anarchy or the classical relationship models. I can't. That is actually the problem. The conformity is a whole nother. Why would I subject myself to that shit? But so I did not take into account this additional relationship model. So the first person, I ended up in the full trigger in the middle of the situation. The second one, I shat on Brooklyn, literally. Like the whole thing just shut down in the middle of it. It was horrible. So I'm like, all right, I got this. I got this. So the next one, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try telling him earlier. Now, this is stage 1. As soon as we enter this, everything is fine on the outside. But now it's like, all right, now how do I get people? And if you think about it, there's a circle of trust. And I've got everybody here on the outside. And I struggle getting people from here to the next stage. This is what you are for. This is what I'm going to try and do. It's people are here and I want to get them into this ring of stage. And I haven't been able to successfully do it yet because I have this medical condition. And if you're going to be in that stage, I have to provide you with information about me. This is the stage where people are like, so what kind of childhood did you have growing up? So he got through. He got through. I successfully found somebody who was able to properly help me navigate through stage 1. And I'm like, it was like last night, I'm in my maze and I found the door. And it was the first reawakening was, I can do this. That was it right there. It was prior to that, it was just this despair. I give up. I can't do that. I can do it. I found the way. The second thing is I have a list of basically rules that if anyone who wants access to me, they have to follow these. I have 3 questions, a psychological test, and then 2 physical tests. If you can get through those 6, we're at a good standing point. So I created these 6 questions, these 6 tests, so to speak, about 2 months ago. And I did it to allow people access to me who want access to me. And every time I'm bombarded with somebody, I throw my look. These are my criteria. If you can get through these 6 parts, then we can talk. No one goes through them. No one even bothers. And I'm going, yeah, that's what I thought. It really weeds out the first two problems, because if they're too stupid to even read it and understand it, done, like right there. That's it. If they're abusive and bullying, they won't read it because they're so freaking abusive. They don't give a shit about my feelings. They just want to get closer to me. Even though I've given them, look, this is what it's going to take to get closer to me. So I get anywhere from, I don't understand that, to, huh? This is one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm not reading that shit. Well, then go away. If you won't even read a paragraph, get the fuck away from me. So it's a really fantastic fail safe, to put that out there. So I have that. And I realized when that's only if they follow the classic relationship model. So yesterday was the first time I wasn't in the classic relationship model. He bypassed all of it. And I was like, wow. Like I already instinctively knew he's already passed the first three questions. So I didn't even bother presenting it to him. And at one point I laughed. I said, it's funny. I've got this criteria that people have to like basically check off. And if they can't do it, they don't get access to me. And he's like, oh, I'm curious now. Let's see it. So I handed him the 6 questions. Well, I handed him 5 of the 6 questions. I didn't hand him the psychological test yet. And I know he's going to do fine with it because he's poly. The psychological test is literally designed to weed out homophobic, white cis men, conformists. Like bottom line, that's it. And narcissists. It's a beautiful psychological test. So I hand that to him. Well, I haven't handed it to him yet, but I know he's gonna fly with it. I know it's gonna be fine. So I'm like, all right, this is good. So I'm looking at all of this, and we're setting up the time, the date, the location, and I can feel it. This is stage 1. It's when you do the setup for the. Yeah, I felt it all come in. It was absolutely beautiful. Feeling it all just start right up. It was like, all right. I said, here it is. I said, look, this is where I usually don't say anything, and it ends up falling apart. So I talked to my primary partner about this, my partner about it. This is last time, and he said, Anna, you really need to tell people beforehand. And I'm like, great. Well, the odds of me even getting on a date now are even less than. I said, sure. All right. So we get to that point where we're talking about location, what restaurant to eat at. And I said, you need to know something about me. I come with a medical condition. So I explained, and the medical condition is horrific. And this is it, is like, look, if you, I said, I can't be around the patriarchy. I'm like, I really can't be around the patriarchy. If you do this, it can't be with the patriarchy involved. If there's any classical relationship model, it's going to trigger vagovascular syncope. I'm going to end up dropping my blood pressure, or my blood pressure drops. My whole system is going to freak out. So, and it's got like all these things, and it's fine as long as you are nonconformist and you're not in a classic relationship model. As long as those 2 things do not apply, we're fine. You cannot use the word date. Do not call me your girlfriend. Do not use any of the labels. So we have to exist in a no label. This is beautiful. No label, no date, no classic relationship model, no conformity. Those are the 4 rules. If you can't do it, it's going to trigger this. And it's not nice. It's not pleasant. It's a medical condition. Doctors and psychologists do not have a cure for this thing yet. It's actually one of the things I'm trying to figure out. Maybe I don't want to. I do want to get rid of it. That would be great if I could get rid of it. So he's like, absolutely not a problem. He actually said, thank you for telling me about this. What can I do for you if it happens? And I'm just like, you're not running away. You're not running away. I'm still flabbergasted. And I said to him, I just need water, and I literally just need space. Like, I can take care of it. I can take care of myself. I just need you to know that if I have to deal with this, just give me space. And he was like, all right. And I was like, wow, you're not running away. Okay. And it went right back to being comfortable. And I'm like, all right, stage 1 complete. And that's when I had the massive eye opener, hence this podcast video. I have been abused so horribly by conformist white cis men that I now have this really awesome program inside of me that makes me incompatible and unusable by conformist white cis men. They literally have made me too broken for them to tolerate. Now, my mindset prior to last night was all men were like this. Women are another problem for me right now, but this was my mindset, was all men were like this. And it's not that case. It was conformist. This is it right here. It was conformist CRMs, classical relationship models, white cis men who have a problem with this. And I just went, oh, well, isn't that interesting? Okay. All right then. So I'm good. I basically have a trigger, a physical PTSD trigger. That's what this is. There's a psychological PTSD triggers. Those are all gone. I got rid of all of those, except for the 5 that I'm the ones I chose to keep. So now I've got this physical PTSD trigger that doctors and psychologists can't touch. Like they're like, wow, the subconscious mind took this one and it put it so deep inside of your brain, your mind, that it's now part of your body. That is really what this is. You can get PTSD triggers that are so severe that your mind embeds them into your body. That's what I have. You have to go through some fucking serious shit to get one. So I'm going, all right, I got this thing. And I'm going, interesting. So I'm good. I did not realize that, quote, all of the men I've been attracting are, for the most part, conformist or CRM or white cis men. And I just went, oh, well, this really rules out everything. I can also put ignorant men in here as well. I want to say people, like I said, but women fall to the same. Women are different. I can't talk about that right now. So this relationship anarchy basically opens up this massive, oh, this is the route I need to go. So it needs to be nonconformist and relationship anarchist in order for me to date. Now, this opens up possibility. And it's really the relationship anarchist, because a lot of people are nonconformists, but they're still classic relationship model. So I'm going, all right, stage 1 is complete. And I suddenly realized that my mindset, and that's what I want to talk about, my mindset prior to this knowledge was highly conclusive. No one wants me, and I cannot connect with people. And then I realized last night that I cannot connect with assholes. That's it. I cannot connect with assholes or traditionalists. I cannot connect with ignorant people who cannot understand my own ethic. I cannot, that's assholes, traditionalists, or ignorant people. I cannot connect with those people. I don't want to connect with those people anyway. And I'm going, wow, look at that. I have an automatic fail safe that just kind of takes care of all of that. And suddenly, when you get over to nonconformist relationship anarchist, suddenly I can navigate that quite easily because people over there aren't assholes or, well, closed-minded. That's what I really want. I want the word closed-minded here. You have to be basically nice. Yeah, you have to be nice. You have to be open-minded. And you have to be educated. But that was the first person, yeah. And you have to be like, yeah, it's the relationship anarchist is really the key, the linchpin. Because the first person I went on a date with, he was nice, he was open-minded, he was educated, but he was CRM. He was classic relationship model, and I still had so it has to be completely removed from that. I was missing a criteria. So my mindset switched last night from no one wants me, I cannot connect with people, to no, and it's not no one wants me, it's no one of good quality wants me. Whereas, and suddenly it opened up, it changed everything. And I felt my mood switch from this depression over to elation. That's a really good, the opposite of depression is elation. And I suddenly realized that I was so excited when I found this term. And the best part is I was able to take the term relationship anarchist, throw it over at my partner and go, this is it. This is me. This is me. And it was the first time I was able to finally say, this is everything I've wanted to say about relationships. This. Basically, relationship anarchist means that you have relationships. First of all, relationship is defined as an interaction with a person. This is a relationship. And it means that there are no labels, there's no boxes. It's absolutely fluid. We're talking relationship fluid. In my world and in my brain, I've got 3 criteria, not the ones you think. There is sexual, there is, what is it called? Intellectual, and there is emotional. 3 levers only. And these 3 levers exist with each and every person that I speak to. So for my children, the sexuality is 0. For the intellectual, it's like, and let's assume this is 1 to 10. For the intellectual, it's like an 8. And for the emotional, it's a 10. For my partner, it's a 10, 10, 10. For this person who I'm speaking with, it's definitely like, and mind you, we just met, so it's growing. So the emotional is like a 3, the intellectual is like a 5, and the sexual is like a 4. And this is the buildup. This is a gorgeous spectrum. I created the spectrum in 2015. When I started to realize this is how I view relationships, this is what I have, is these 3 categories. On a scale of 1 to 10, sexual, intellectual, emotional. And so I don't view people as, oh, this is really nice to finally articulate. Like here, anyway, this is something I don't know. I created this in 2015. Like this is, I'm sorry, not 2015. I created it in 2020. No, 2019. This is what I did during COVID. I was bored with COVID. So I'm like, I'm going to create this shit. This is what I think about during COVID. So in 2019, I came up with this idea. And it was when when we opened our marriage in 2019, 2020. And I was trying to communicate to my then husband, this is how I view relationships. And I didn't have any of the words. So I was explaining to him, look, for me, there is no friendship. There is no relationship. There is no partner. It's just these 3 levers, sexual, intellectual, and emotional. And they can be anything and all over the place, whatever, with whom. They can go anywhere. And once you get into a circle of trust, that's a whole nother. So I have the circle of trust, and then I've got these 3 levers. And that's how I view every person I speak to, is this system. This is what I go by. So putting labels on all of this, I can't, to be honest with you, that is one of my biggest stressors. And this is my relationship model. This is Anna's relationship model. And I have been functioning based off of this relationship model since 2019, but I've lacked the vocabulary until now to finally communicate it. So I've been trying to communicate this to my partner for a long time, and it's really difficult. And every time I try and explore into this, I get a lot of poly people going, oh, well, you're this or this. You should try these terms. And that's when I finally settled on queer, because queer is basically, I'm different. You'll have to ask me. And it depends on my whim. I love it. I'm like, yes, this is me. So, because I was all over the place with bi, I was all over the place with lesbian. And then if you give conformists or white cis men those labels, the abusive white cis men will literally tell you, you're not that because I can't access you. I've had this conversation many times where I will say to them, I'm a lesbian or I'm bisexual. And then they will argue with me, no, I'm not. This is your gender. This is your sexuality. Excuse you? Like, it's a thing. So I got myself figured out finally. And I'm looking at this going, all right, opens the door now for friendships. And this is the best part. If I can navigate that, like a romantic or a sexual relationship, I can navigate friendships. That's the best part. I'm going, so this is it. I have 3 stages that I have to get to. Stage 1 is I have to tell them about my medical condition. Staged, basically, it's, look, I can't have these around me. You put these around me, the event that we go to is gonna go bad, real bad, as the last person found out. So you need to be aware of this with me. Now, if you can stay within this Anna's relationship model, which is the nonconformist, the relationship anarchist, we're fine. If you can't, but people lie. I've had people say, oh yeah, I can do that, and then they don't. I've had people say, yeah, I'm nonconformist, I'm poly, I'm good. No, you have to also be relationship anarchist. The problem is that classic relationship model. So this is where it's like this massive, by the way, this is not my trauma. This is me. This has been me all my life. I can finally open this conversation door. I've been trying to figure this out for a while, and I'm like, how do I explain it? So I just haven't talked about it. I started showing this relationship model since I was 4 years old. 4. I have been on this relationship model my whole life. It was my perspective abuse. It was conformists telling me I had to conform to the classic relationship model that ended up causing the majority of my teenage abuse. Was a bunch of boyfriends, husbands, partners, fathers telling me what my relationships, what my gender, what my sexuality should be. So it was in my teen years. Prior to my teen years, prior to my being 14, I was all over the place. I was all over the place. I had this, there were no boxes. It was, an individual. Are they sexual, intellectual, emotional? And I did not look at gender. I did not look at anything. It was just, I read their energy. I 100% went by their energy. I went by their energy. I went by their identity. So it was very much sexual, intellectual, or emotional. And then it was, do I trust this person or don't I? At what levels do I trust this person? And all of it, like everything else. So it was this Anna's relationship model versus the classic relationship model. And there was like this massive conflict from the time I was 4. So part of the box thing that my parents did was the acting. That was like the number one, you need to conform, and I didn't have the right job, and acting was absolutely out of it. The second thing was the relationship model, the classic relationship model. And that included the polyamory. That was the other part of it, where they were just like, you got to get married, you got to be a monogamist, you got to have the classic relationship model, you can't be an actress. And it was just, so this was really the severity of my abuse. And then when I got into relationships and, well, that nonsense that I got into, it was very much the owners wanted classic relationship model, and I was Anna's relationship model. And that's when the abuse unfolded. And then I finally conformed into monogamy, finally. And I did that for 8 years, and it was absolute traumatic hell for me because I was suppressing Anna's relationship model. And then the second marriage I had was absolutely abysmal. Now, I am a firm believer that most affairs happen. I would say, yeah, most affairs happen because you have somebody following relationship anarchy and polyamory being forced into conformity. I am a firm believer that the majority of people who have affairs are people who are polyamorous and into nonconformists being conditioned to obey and follow, which is why they just, yeah, it's they can't do it. And there are so many, oh my God, so many of my friends, almost every single one of them. Some of them were like me, where they went right into it from birth, like I've always been this way. That's me. Then there's others who, well, I was exploring, I went into relationships, I ended up having affairs, and when I was there, I realized, oh, I'm polyamory. So there's people who have figured this out, there's people who haven't figured this out, and then there's people who've always known this. But because we don't teach this in our society, it's not even presented on the table because we're only given one option. We're only given one option is not an option. Really, we need to wrap our heads around this. When you are given one option, it stops to be an option. Like if there's one, well, that's what we call a monopoly. That's not an option. You can't have options unless you have choice. And if you don't have choice, then it's slavery. It's a monopoly because there's no choice. So polyamory, nonconformity opens that door so you're allowed to go down that route. So what this means is, yeah, for me, it's friends can sway, change, whatever. Like, yeah, it's not a problem for me. It's my God, I love Anna's relationship model. I forgot about it. It's so funny because I created this thing in 2019 and I'm here it is 2023. I've done these podcasts and I haven't mentioned it once. I'm like, yeah, I should probably mention this now. But I didn't know how. I'm like, well, how do I explain my system? Like, and this has been a thorn in my side since I was 4. How do I communicate how I live? So there it is. Anna's relationship model. So there's that. So stage 1 is complete with this person. And I'm going, the amount of hope, first of all, I felt the mindset shift and I felt the depression immediately lift. And I'm going, oh my God, I can now embrace my relationship model. I can now live and converse and like figure this shit out. And it's this massive hope restored in humanity. That's what it is. It is hope restored in humanity. It's, it's interesting. We have this relationship, this one person in our life, or multiple people in our life. We have people in our life. This is interesting. We have people in our life who do set an example. They set an example. They are cherry-picked by us to set an example of humanity. That's what it is. That is what a community is. A chosen community. It is when we cherry pick the exemplary examples of the human condition. And if you don't have a large community, if you have a low quality community, you're going to have a low faith in humanity. And I've got one person right now. Now I might have 2. I have one person. And because I have this one person, now he is the exception. So my partner is the exception to the rule. I'm loving this concept this morning. This philosophy is my shit. This is the sweet spot. This is about faith in humanity and the community that we build. I got the word. Blanks. Reaffirms. That's the word. Reaffirms or validates our faith in humanity. That is really what this is about. I have one person. He is now the exception to the rule because I've got one person. And I have these boundaries and I have these stages that anyone who wants access to me has to go through. So when I see all these assholes trying to get through to me, boundary, come on. You can do it. You can give a shit about somebody other than yourself. I know you've got it in you. Come on, you can get over the boundaries. You can do it. I have faith in you. No one was able to do it. And this person walks in through the back door, literally walks in through the back door. And I'm sitting here like this. And I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? And I didn't even bother. I mean, I have boundaries, definitely, and he respected each and every one of them, but I didn't even have to put them out there because he was polite. And I thought, I never even thought of it. Perspective. Because I was so busy pushing down these assholes, it never occurred to me that the good people would come in through the back door. That's where we say what you're looking for is right in front of you. The good people who actually have earned access to you don't come in through the front gate. They come in through the back gate. And suddenly he's here. And I don't know where it's going to go. At least it's a solid friendship, and that's good enough. And it's very early, and he's a decent human being, and I'm able to fully open up and talk to him. That's the clue. I'm able to fully open up and talk to him. And I went, wow, I feel comfortable with you. There's only one other person I feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable with people. And I'm just sitting here going, wow. The best part is my partner is no longer the exception to the rule. I now have a community. And suddenly, instead of him being an exception in my world, he is the norm. And I just went, now I'm starting to have a restored faith in humanity. That's the difference. Because instead of having the one exception to the rule, I now have restored faith in humanity, because if he can come in, then more will come in. And that was the shift in my mindset. If one person can get in, then others can. And my relationship model, I need to introduce the world to Anna's relationship model, because it's extraordinary. It's fantastic. It is so simple. It is so simple. So once more, there is a circle of trust. You've got your boundaries, and you got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. There are 3 stages. Yeah, I'm going to give you my Anna's relationship model. And then there are 3 categories. There's sexuality, intellectuality, and emotions. And this is it. Sexual connection, intellectual connection, emotional connection. And one person can have any kind of variation of these 3 things. And you can have any kind of variation within any rings of those circle of trusts. The final circle of trust, that's for you. No one's supposed to be in there. No one is supposed to be in there. You are not supposed to have a partner inside of that. That's not healthy. That is where I went wrong when I first did this. That is borderline personality disorder. That's codependency. When you have somebody inside that dead center of your target, that's the problem. You need that for you so you can ground yourself in your solid perspective, so you can do a purification of your perspective. The boundaries are each stage. The boundaries are your shield. They basically monitor and make sure that you don't internalize or project, that you stay in the neutral zone. That is what boundaries are for. That's what some people just don't understand. Now, there are levels of intimacy, and people think that boundaries are levels of intimacy. I'm going to say that again. People think that boundaries are the stages of intimacy, that the closer you get to someone, the more intimate you get, the less boundaries you have. This is wrong. Boundaries prevent you from internalizing, stop projections of other people, and keep you in a place that is so neutral that you don't personalize someone's problem and you don't project yours onto other people. That's it. And that boundary is supposed to stay with you no matter what, permanently. It's you and your boundaries. The levels of intimacy is what people think boundaries are. And that's levels of vulnerability. So many people confuse boundaries with intimacy and vulnerability. No. We're going to go over that later. So you've got your circle of trust, and this is the circle of trust. And then you've got those 3 levels, those 3 layers. So that's how I function in friendships, relationships, everything. Everything I do is based off of that model. All of it. My God, it feels so good to finally define this shit. So I now have this, I have the start of my community. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I like, yes, yes, yes. I have restored my faith in humanity. He is not the exception to the rule. He's now the norm. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, this is hope. This is what this is. I woke up last night. I found hope for humanity. And I'm like, yes, yes. And it's just, it was wonderful. So I want to go over the stages with you. Stage 1 is when that's where you basically use your boundaries. And this is really the hard part. And any urgent news, anything that like, okay, you need to know this going. These are my terms basically. Stage 2 is basically the sexual terms. Do not talk about sexual terms in stage 1. That's a problem because the intimacy has not been established yet. And if you jump the gun, it actually breaks down trust. It breaks down trust if you push it too soon. That's what people don't realize is when you skip the stages, the trust goes down. So the stages matter because the stages are the stages of trust. And if you go too fast, you break down trust. Trust suffers. So you cannot skip the stages. Stage 1 is pre-first date. Okay, this is what you need to know. Now, this is where it gets sticky for me because they want to explore and learn about me. But I have a list of topics that are off limits until about the 5th or the 6th date. I would say that's stage 3. Past history. Now, this is for me because my past is this fucking horrific, which is my problem. So this is exclusively for me. I would love to hear other people using this and see how it works for them. But this is exclusively because my trauma is so fucking bad. If you can apply it, great. This is how you do it if you've been so fucking traumatized that you can't date. Stage 1 is the boundaries stage where you say, I have a medical condition that could interfere with this date. These are my relationship qualifiers. I am queer, I am poly, I am relationship anarchist. I function on Anna's model. That's it. That's all you discuss. If any questions come up about my full past history, why I'm a vegetarian, that is what I call stage 3. That is information for stage 3. This is such a relief. And this is what was going through my head last night. And I went, oh my God, I know how to do this now. The next one, this is referring to the friendships that I just started when I went to game night the other night. And they were asking me about my past. And I was like, I don't want to tell you about my past. How do I do this? This is how. This is what I got last night was the answer. So the first one is the vegetarian. The second one is where I grew up. Yes, there it is. This is stage 3 information. I need like 5 to 10 dates before we open this door because trust will suffer. I don't have any emotional connection with them yet for stage 3 to be handled. And that's it. You need to build trust on emotional connection. I know this. People don't know this. I know this, so I never think to say it out loud. Yeah, you can't build trust without emotional connection. Trust is 100% the glue that sits between emotional connection and the next level of emotional connection. So you have like bricklaying. Emotional connection is the brick. The grout is trust. Yeah. So if you don't have emotional connection and you're just throwing grout at a stranger, it's not going to stick. and the trust will suffer because the emotional connection isn't there. So you have to start with emotional connection. You have to build up emotional connection. And that's what we did. I want to say there's a preliminary stage 0. This is me breaking down the stages of relationshiping. This is it. Stage 0 is when you go from stranger to I'm interested. And that's where you're building emotional connection. So last night we laid the grout, trust, boom. And that's when I said, look, we need to pause here because you need to know my sexual orientation, my lifestyles. These are where you have the important topics. The next thing is going on the date. Now I have categories of there's going to be lists that I'm not comfortable talking about because we haven't established the emotional connection yet. So the next emotional connection, I really kind of don't know yet because I haven't gone through it to tell you and report to you. So on Friday, I will be doing a video where I talk about, okay, brick number 2, this is stage 2, this is what it looks like. And I don't know if sexuality can come into it yet. I'm open. I have no idea. I'm going to go with my whim. I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to listen to intuition. I don't know. And the key here is what feels right, what feels good, what gives you joy. That's really the key, following that. And then boundaries for, are you comfortable with this? And if you're not comfortable, well, would you be comfortable at stage 2 or stage 3? And this is the question that I was asking myself this morning, was there's information I have here that's X, and I'm not comfortable talking about X until stage 2 or stage 3. And new friendships like to ask these questions about stage 3 data when we first meet in stage 0. Now I can say, that's what I call stage 3 information. I'm not ready to talk about any of that. And leave it at that. That's a boundary. That is it right there. It's, I'm not ready to talk about that. That's not where I'm comfortable. I wouldn't say, yeah, that's very much boundary. Oh my God, that feels so good. So now I can take this and navigate friendships with it. And now I can say that is stage 3. That's a question that I need to preserve for stage 3. We are at stage 0 to stage 1. When we get to stage 3, then we can talk about that stuff. Why I'm a vegetarian, where I grew up, stage 3. No, stage 3 does not mean you're emotionally invested. Stage 3 does not mean you are emotionally invested. It does mean that, like this is the preliminary work to determine if you want to go long-term with somebody. This is what this is the preliminary work to determine if you want to go long-term with someone. Now, what's been happening in the classic relationship model, there's classic relationship model 1 and 2. 1 is the one-night stands, the friends with benefits, and that's the dating apps. We're going to immediately jump to stage 3. I'm going to have sex with you, dump you, and never speak to you again. That's one-night stands. Yeah, I can't do that. The second stage is I'm actually interested in you and I actually want to date you. So you follow the classic relationship model and then you go through it. And in most cases, yeah, you're weaning it because you're not aware of this. This is such good, yummy brain food. Like, this makes me so happy. So in the preliminaries of relationshiping, whether it be platonic or not platonic, it's just, you've got 4 stages, and that's with the preliminary of stage 0. And stage 0 is, yeah, I feel good about this. That's your acquaintance where, yeah, we've met a few times. We've met a few times. Yeah, this feels good. And then stage 2 is, yeah, let's see. I have no idea. I cannot hypothesize. I don't know. I have never been through this. I have never been through my system ever because it got hijacked by a bunch of conformists. So now I'm free to explore this shit. And I'm going, yes. And it's like, all right. And like I said, this is wonderful. So I'm at stage 0. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. And I'm going, yes. And then I get to run over and tell my partner all about this shit. That's the part I'm really excited about. Like, look what I'm doing. Look what I've got. I was really, really happy. I'm really excited. Yeah. So it's like, okay, my faith in humanity has been restored. It's, yeah, when you surround yourself in a community of toxic people, you lose your faith in humanity. I need to do a video just off of that because that's really it. That's really it. And it's these stages. I'm curious because it feels like if I were to just follow my intuition on what these stages are, these stages are the investigative, I'm going to call them investigative stages of establishing, of defining a relationship. Because it's not establishing. We're not establishing. We're defining it. We're trying to figure out if there's even one here. So really wrap your head around this. This is the investigative stages of defining a possible relationship. It's part investigative and it's what kind of a relationship is going to work for us. Let's find this out. So stage one is, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to do a date. And classic relationship models got that down. Let's go on a date. Okay. But they don't do anything else. This is going to be on my website. So if you want this, you can like get right there. You can click on it. I'm going to put the link below so you can just like, if you want to use this model, it'll help you walk through relationshiping. And it is absolutely extraordinary. Oh my God. It's amazing. If you decide that, and that's it really, you have, how is the health of your community? Define your community, examine your community. Oh, my everything that I do is going to really focus on this is your community. What is your community doing? What is your community looking like? What's it moving for? What all of it? Oh my God, I love it so much. I love it so much. Yeah, this is the officially like part 2 of Triadic Healing, by the way. This is the relationship module. That's where I'm at. And this is something I've been very like, I had to get mentally healthy to get to this point. And now that I'm breaking down the psychology of relationshiping and I'm like, yes. And it's like, oh yeah, I have my relationship model that I've had since I was 4. I just couldn't define it. Now I can. And I'm like, yay, this is what's been in my head all my life. And it's been infuriating because I'll be going with somebody and it'll just be like doing a thing. And then people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going with my whim. It's my thing that I do. And I get people who are like, I love your thing. And then I got other people going, well, I don't want to talk about what they do. That's why they're not my life. So we are talking about community health. This is it really. Community. I did this yesterday. I was doing a whole video yesterday on community where I was exploring. I think it's my video that lasted 2 hours. And I talk about community. I talk about basically the mindset of the relationship between money and how way back when you did not sell and buy and do business with strangers. That was not something that was done. You did business with your community, and your community was your friends and your family. And there's another part of your community in there, but we're not going to use any of the verbiage from the patriarchy because A, I don't live inside that anymore. And B, it is inadequate. So I'm going to be like redoing a whole language here. Some of it's going to be new. Some of it's going to be borrowed from Poly. A lot of it's going to be mine. But it's going to be so fucking simple. And it's going to be so clearly defined that when you are ready to build your community. Now, I'm going to reemphasize this. Part 1 of Triadic Healing is building the self. Part 2 is building the community. You cannot build a community if you have not built yourself. If you are skipping model A to be here, shame on you. You're not going to get a good, healthy community. Bottom line, you will not have a healthy community. Your community is going to be based off of your unresolved mental issues. So if you are a narcissist, you're not even going to be here. Let's try this again. If you are a narcissist and you don't do the work, so you build a community, you are going to have a community that revolves around your narcissism. Let's take something that's more realistic. If you are codependent and you're wanting to resolve your relationship because you're desperate, So you're here looking for relationship answers because you're codependent. But you've skipped triadic healing part 1. You're probably still codependent. Now you're trying to build a community. Your community is going to be codependent. You're going to have the same problems that you have now walking through this because you haven't resolved your codependency, which is in step 1, triadic healing, resolving yourself. So if you want a healthy, happy, flourishing, clean community, you need to have a happy, flourishing, clean self-identity, authenticity, and perspective. You cannot skip. If you're skipping, you are probably a conformist or classical relationship model, or you're ignorant because you're skipping steps. You can't skip steps. If you skip steps, you're going to end up with contamination. Contamination in this case is the pured self and then needing a pured community. So if you're happy, healthy, interdependent, solid, confident, your community is going to be confident, interdependent, solid, stable, healthy. If you are sunshine imagination, well, then you are going to have a community that is sunshine imagination. Community is a reflection of the self. It is 100% based on the health status of yourself. Because the foundation of community is you. So how healthy are you? You cannot go on to fixing your relationship and having a healthy, awesome, happy, perfect community if you have not done the work to purify the self in triadic healing part 1. Bottom line, the community consists of parents, lovers, partners, teachers, healers. It's literally everybody who exists outside of the self. So part 1, triadic healing, builds the self, purifies the self. Part 2 is your community. Part 3 is going to be the world. It's the people who are not inside of your community and how you affect those. But you can't get here until you've accomplished the 5th ethic, which is accountability, that your actions affect others and you hold yourself accountable for that. If you haven't done the work, you shouldn't be here. All right, part 2, community. Oh, I'm so excited about this. So I'm going to break this down. We're going to talk about community. We're going to embellish it more on the next video. Like, subscribe, follow, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you. I'm going to take about a 30-minute break while I drink my coffee and think and hypothesize. And then we're going to go into the next video. Call to action. What do I want you to do? I'm still trying to figure this part out. And the reason why I can't figure this out is because I have mental shit that I still have to work out. So the more I work out this mental shit and figure this out, the more that's going to come to me. There's going to be a day where I say, I got it. I got my call to action. I know what I want you to do. I want you to build my community. I want you to join my community. That is what I want. That is actually what we're doing here. I want you to join my community. That is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people to join my community. So take a look at my city directory. Ooh, that's such an easy, smooth, that's it right there. I want my community. I need you. So take a look at my city directory, my Linktree account. It gives you the full city directory, including my map. And then you can see heal. There's 4 parts to it. There's heal, learn, play. I love the play part. Heal, learn, play. I can feel it freeing. It's all coming together. Heal, learn, play, create. And then if you love politics, you can take a look at the ship of state. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.